Imagine this. Tonight, you have no roof. A violent storm begins. Thunder shakes the sky. Lightning lights the darkness. Heavy rain pours down. What would you do? How would you survive? This was the reality of our ancestors. For thousands of years. No houses, no cities, only nature. But they survived. How? Let's discover the incredible story of how early humans learned to live with the rain. Imagine standing on Earth 40,000 years ago. There are no cities, no permanent houses, no weather forecasts, no drainage systems. Around you stretch forests, rivers, mountains, and open plains. The sky suddenly darkens. The air grows heavy. Lightning tears across the clouds. Thunder rolls across the land. And then the rain begins to fall. For early humans, rain was not a poetic moment. It was survival. At the beginning of human civilization, rain was both a blessing and a threat. It brought water, fertile land, and life. But it also brought flooding, cold, hunger, and danger. Long before engineered cities and waterproof roofs, humans had to learn, slowly and through experience, how to endure, adapt to, and eventually manage the rain. In the Paleolithic era, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. They moved constantly, following migrating animals and seasonal plants. Their lives were mobile, flexible, and directly exposed to nature. When heavy rainstorms struck, their first line of defense was natural shelter. Caves were among the earliest and most important solutions. Caves provided a roof overhead, solid walls, and relatively dry ground. Archaeological discoveries in places like Lascaux in France and Altamira in Spain reveal not only ancient art, but evidence of long-term cave habitation. These caves protected early humans from rain, snow, harsh winds, and predators. However, not all regions offered caves. Human groups that lived in open plains, river valleys, or savannas had to create their own shelters. Using wooden branches as structural frames, they covered them with animal hides or large leaves. These were the earliest forms of tents. In parts of Ukraine, archaeologists have uncovered circular dwellings made from mammoth bones, dating back 15 to 20,000 years. These bone frameworks were likely covered with animal skins, creating enclosed shelters resistant to wind and rain. This demonstrates that early humans were not passive victims of the environment. They observed problems and built solutions. Rain presented another challenge: standing water. Low-lying areas would quickly flood during heavy storms, turning the ground into mud and increasing the risk of disease and instability. Through experience, humans learned to choose higher ground for their camps. Instead of settling directly along riverbanks, they selected slightly elevated terrain. This geographical awareness was learned the hard way. Groups that suffered flooding once were unlikely to repeat the mistake. Over generations, such experiences shaped settlement patterns. Fire introduced another critical vulnerability during rainfall. In prehistoric times, producing fire was not simple. Losing fire during a storm could mean losing warmth, cooked food, and protection from predators. Early humans took steps to protect their fires. Inside caves or shelters, they built designated hearths shielded from rain. In some cases, they buried glowing embers beneath ash or soil to preserve heat through storms. After the rain passed, they could reignite the flame. Protecting fire was as essential as protecting food or shelter. Clothing also played an important role in surviving rain. Animal hides offered partial water resistance and helped retain body heat. In cold and wet environments, hypothermia could be fatal. Covering the body reduced direct exposure to cold rain and wind. Later, humans developed clothing from woven plant fibers and grasses. While not waterproof by modern standards, these materials still reduced heat loss and provided additional protection. Around 10,000 years ago, the agricultural revolution transformed humanity's relationship with rain. Now rain was no longer just something to survive. It became something to depend upon. Crops required consistent water. Too little rain meant drought. Too much rain meant crop destruction and famine. Human survival now depended not only on shelter from rain, but on understanding its patterns. In Mesopotamia, along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, early farmers developed irrigation systems as early as 4000 BCE. They dug canals to direct excess water away from fields during heavy rainfall and to channel water into crops during dry periods. This marked a major turning point. Humans were no longer simply reacting to rain. They were managing it. The Indus Valley Civilization offers one of the most remarkable examples of early rain adaptation. Cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa featured advanced drainage systems built from baked brick. Covered drains ran along streets. Individual homes connected to structured sewage and runoff channels. This was not accidental design. It was deliberate engineering, built to handle monsoon rains. Rain management had become a collective responsibility. In ancient Egypt, the Nile River's annual flooding was both predictable and beneficial. Rather than viewing flooding purely as disaster, Egyptians recognized its agricultural value. Floodwaters deposited fertile silt onto farmland. Egyptian society developed calendars based on the river's seasonal rise and fall. They could not control the rain, but they could anticipate its rhythm. This shift, from fear to understanding, was critical. Not every civilization adapted successfully. Extended droughts have been linked to the decline of several ancient societies. Archaeological evidence suggests that climate change contributed to the weakening of certain Mesopotamian and Mesoamerican civilizations. Sudden floods also destroyed settlements and forced migrations. In response, humans built levees, raised platforms, reinforced foundations, and improved structural durability. Architecture evolved in direct response to rainfall patterns. Rain was not only a physical phenomenon, it was also cultural and spiritual. Nearly every early civilization developed rain deities. In India, Indra ruled storms and lightning. In Greece, Zeus controlled thunder and rain. Among the Maya, Chak was the god of rain. When drought struck, people prayed. When floods came, they sought divine mercy. While these beliefs did not provide engineering solutions, they offered psychological stability in uncertain times. Architectural innovation continued to evolve alongside rainfall adaptation. Sloped roofs became common to allow water runoff. Foundations were elevated above ground level. Materials shifted from simple mud to fired brick and stone, which resisted water damage more effectively. In ancient Rome, complex sewer systems, such as the Cloaca Maxima, directed stormwater away from populated areas. Urban infrastructure increasingly reflected environmental awareness. In arid regions, rain became a precious resource rather than a threat. Early societies developed systems to collect and store rainwater. Cisterns, reservoirs, and underground storage chambers were constructed to capture seasonal rainfall. These early rainwater harvesting systems laid the foundation for modern sustainable water practices. The story of humanity is the story of adaptation. Rain was one of nature's most powerful forces shaping that journey. At times, it brought destruction. At other times, it brought renewal. Each storm presented a challenge. Each flood forced innovation. Each drought demanded resilience. From seeking shelter in caves to constructing engineered drainage networks, humans gradually transformed their relationship with rain. They learned not only to endure it, but to anticipate it, redirect it, and benefit from it. Today, we rely on meteorological satellites, flood barriers, climate science, and urban planning. Yet the foundation of all these advancements lies in the experiences of our earliest ancestors. When the first heavy storm struck a prehistoric camp, humans did not surrender. They observed, they remembered, they adapted. Rain fell then as it falls now. The difference is not in the storm. The difference is in our response. And that response, built over tens of thousands of years, became one of the driving forces behind the development of civilization itself.